Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 is still missing after a few days, and about 239 people are on that flight. And it's led to a number of conspiracy theories as to where the plane disappeared, how it disappeared, and now it turns out that there were 2 passengers on that plane that were traveling with a stolen passport. But before we get to that, I want to share some of the theories that people have, some of which are insane. So one theory is that it was hijacked by terrorists that had fake passports. I think that that's plausible given the fact that they were stolen, and also the 2 people who had the stolen passports were from Iran. So that's also fueling some of the terrorist
Right. There was an Iranian middleman who bought the tickets for them. So that's the heart of the theory on why it might have been terrorists taking the plane. Look, that's by far the most plausible explanation because terrorists have taken planes before.
Exactly.
And they bought one-way tickets. In this case, they did it on 9/11 in cash, and they had an Iranian middleman. I mean, it's not conclusive, obviously, but I wouldn't even... Look, conspiracy theory means just a theory on how several people conspired to do something. So it would be my leading candidate at this point.
Yes. Other thoughts include that it was disintegrated in midair due to some sort of explosion.
Yeah, it wasn't like poof, for no reason.
Yeah.
There was a mechanical problem, goes the theory, and the explosion was so severe that's why we can't find any trace of the plane or the people on the plane, because it disintegrated in midair.
Yes. The plane was torn apart by an unexpected or catastrophic event. Others believe that it was intercepted by UFOs.
Yeah, I'm going to put that near the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Others think that it was transported to another world via wormhole.
Okay, all right. That's also does not seem overly likely. There are wormholes. They haven't sucked up any planes before.
And finally, pilot suicide. So they're thinking that a pilot intentionally crashed the plane, but they have yet to find where the crash is.
One of my favorites is that they landed the plane some undisclosed location in Vietnam, and they're now holding the people hostages, and they might load up the plane with more explosives and then get it back up in the air and do some terrorist plot that way.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but it's scary stuff. It's scary to know that there are 239 people missing right now without a trace. We don't know where the plane is. There were a few instances where officials thought that there was a lead. For instance, they found some yellow object in the ocean, and they thought, hey, maybe this is part of the plane. And then they did some more research, and they found out, oh, it's just garbage with seaweed all over it. So it's unfortunate. There are no leads, and of course, family members are totally scared and shocked that they're never going to see their loved ones again. Another thing to keep in mind is that apparently family members have been calling the cell phones of their loved ones, and it keeps ringing. So the phones aren't dead yet. So that's a little creepy.
Okay, now apparently some of that was done on air. That's also hard to believe. Are they really calling the cell phones of the people that were on the plane? Who knows? Now look, all this is crazy, but you know what else is crazy? A giant plane goes missing and we don't know where it is. For now, how many days has it been? Basically 3 days. That's crazy. That's unbelievable. So obviously something happened, right? And I think it's fair to guess. I don't know about the UFOs. I don't know that that's fair, right? But guessing about terrorist plots, etc., pilot suicide, whatever it might be, mechanical error, likely it's one of those things, right? And the fact that they can't find any traces of it just deepens the mystery. And it's I guess part of what annoys me a little bit is when people are like, oh, there's all these conspiracy theories out there. Okay, well, what's your non-conspiracy theory? Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, look, I'm going to be 100% real with you guys. Stories like this are really difficult to report on because all you can do is speculate, and I hate speculating, right? It's the worst thing. Here's the information we have so far, and then there are a bunch of conspiracy theories, one of which is sort of plausible. But other than that, there's really nothing else to report. It's a sad and tragic story, but it doesn't make it any better to sit around and make stories up or speculate as to what could have happened.
No, but it's impossible to avoid. Everyone, including myself, is talking about, Jesus, what the hell happened to that plane?
Yeah.
So the whole world outside of Anna is curious about what the plane is.
No, do not put words in my mouth. I'm curious, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, okay, so here's what I think happened. No, there's no value to that.
All right, now, by the way, nonetheless, here I go. Okay, when I heard the stolen passports, I was like, it's over, it's terrorism. I read into it a little bit more. You know how I like to proclaim things. I was ready to pound the gavel.
Right.
But it turns out people who are drug runners also do that. And it turns out there's 40, and here's another piece of value in this news story, Anna. It turns out there's 40 million stolen passports in the database of Interpol. And that a lot of the airplanes and countries that have the different airports check them, but a lot of them don't, right? And in Malaysia, they hadn't checked it. So, and a lot of times the stolen passports are used either to run drugs or for terrorism. So it's possible that they weren't necessarily terrorists, they were drug runners, et cetera.
That's a possibility, definitely. As I read stories like this, I'm amazed at, the balls on these types of people, right? Because I just think about how me, as like a regular average citizen who never wants to do anything wrong, doesn't do any criminal activity, when I'm going through TSA, I'm like sweating, right? Because like I feel like they're gonna pat you down, they're gonna look at your
But what are they going to find?
No, they're not going to find anything, right? But they put you in this environment where you're like, you have to prove that you're innocent, right? You're guilty until proven innocent. And then you have these guys, like, I don't know if they're from Iran, I don't know where they're from, right? But they come in and they're like, yes, here is fake passport.
So all of a sudden they're Russian. Here is fake passport. I'm
really bad with accents, obviously. Okay. But like, how do they do it? I would be so scared.
And they say no, you know what? I'm close to pounding the gavel. Don't let me do it.
I hesitate.
Right. It's got to be terrorism, man. It's got to be like one-way ticket with cash only. No, it's why? Who else kidnaps airplanes, right? They're not
kidnaps airplanes.
Kidnaps airplanes.
Hijacks.
Okay. Well, no one kidnaps airplanes. That's the correct answer. Who hijacks airplanes? Generally speaking, almost exclusively terrorists. Okay, they're not. And John Locke was not on the plane, and they're not. That island didn't move. In the real world, it's usually terrorists. Okay, so let's see. But God, for the sake of the families there, I hope they find some evidence of what the hell happened on the plane.
Yeah.
Because you can't help but be, devastated by the tragedy in the first place. And then the mystery, which compounds the problem.